right, guys, when it comes to what's going on in politics today, we're going to be discussing what have the Democrats done for you lately. Looks like they've been all talk, but no actions. We're going to go into details about that, and if you stay until the end of this video, we're going to go into details of how you can calculate your cost of living adjustment for 2022. We know that they've already passed a 5.9% increase. So how is this going to impact you as an individual? We'll be going to some numbers today here on Mostly Money. Well, my name is Andre, and you're watching Mostly Money, where you're getting all facts, no fake, no phony, and no fluffed up information when it comes to what's going on in politics today. And if you're interested in getting the truth on a daily basis, well, you've made it to the right channel. All you have to do for yourself now is subscribe. Click that notification bell so you get the latest and greatest information coming from Mostly Money, because we're going to always be here for you and your loved ones. Let's get started. On the show Meet the Press this week, they took time out to discuss what has the Democrat Party done for us as Americans lately, as well as what are their plans for us in 2022. It looks like the Democratic Party, when it comes to the infrastructure bill, when it comes to voting rights, when it comes to racial justice, vaccination mandates, it looks like the Democratic Party has a lot more on their plate than they expected when President Biden came to office.
This entire issue, right, we have this sort of sluggish economy due to COVID. The president's agenda feels a bit sort of clogged up a little bit. What is the mindset of Democrats on Capitol Hill? Do they see the forest right now through these trees of obstruction, if you will?
I think they do. I mean, Democrats promised the world to their voters coming into that last election cycle, and now they're trying to figure out what they can still deliver on. They've left some priorities by the wayside. The guns bill, the voting rights bill that'll get a vote this week that they don't think are going to pass. But all the marbles are on these two big spending bills right now, and they're just pretty well stuck. Now, I think everyone understands that the reconciliation bill is probably too big to fail. They will all survive or fail, and if they don't pass that big bill in some capacity, probably everybody's going home.
Yeah. Amy, is it already got this like weird negative vibe to it, even if they pass it? Here's what Politico wrote yesterday. I thought it was a bit harsh, this framing, but maybe they're right. Here's the cold reality, they write. It now appears all but impossible for Democrats to enact a reconciliation package that's anywhere near as far-reaching as what polls suggest a large majority of Democratic voters want, and that effectively means that for a lot of Dems, it will be hard to see whatever ends up coming out of this process as a success, with potentially dire implications for the party in 2022. Specifically, they were writing about the climate provisions, basically capitulating to Manchin's demands here. Which basically Secretary Buttigieg didn't want to touch.
See, I think the challenge really goes back more to what Garrett is saying, is that I don't know that Democratic voters are particularly excited about Build Back Better or an infrastructure bill.
Don't you see all the individual polling that they tell you this? I'm sorry, I just makes me nuts.
I know it.
Just because something polls well doesn't mean
that
it's
salient. It's not salient.
Yes.
What is salient, and I've been sitting in these focus groups, especially with younger African-American voters, you know what they're talking about? It's exactly what Garrett said, which is, where's a police reform? We talked about that a lot in 2020. Voting rights, this is an existential threat to our country, and what, we can't pass it? You're in charge, Democrats. It's you have a chance to do this. And so I think they're sort of missing out on the things that do really energize Democrats on the one hand. And then the other is everything you just talked about, which is there's just a sluggishness in the economy, in the optimism, that he's also, the president and Democrats aren't delivering on the sort of bread and butter that they were hoping they would.
Kimberly, how demoralized do you think the Democratic base could get if this gets fraught?
Oh, I think it is very existential at this moment for all the reasons that Amy was talking about it. I don't think it's just a matter that the Democrats promised the world to their voters. It's the voters demanded these things from Democrats, and now they're saying, okay, well, you have the White House, you have Congress, and after the end of 2 years, we have nothing. I think that will be absolutely devastating to the Democratic base if they walk away without, not just with with nothing, but without voting rights, particularly, without anything, without making sure everyone has health care, the expansion of Medicaid. I mean, if they walk away with nothing, they can expect, as you said, to pack up.
John, I'm going to guess that you're going to agree with something Charlie Cook wrote. I should have made Amy respond to this, but I'm not.
Hot seat.
No. Because here's what Charlie wrote. Democrats push for way too much without having the political capital to make it stick. It's killing them on overreach. It's killing them on competence. If misreading a mandate is a sin in politics, pretending that you have one when you don't is a mortal sin. Is that the issue?
In March, John Meacham convened a bunch of historians at the White House who said to Biden, you can be FDR, you can be LBJ. Lyndon Baines Johnson won election in 1964 with a 155-seat majority in the House and 155-seat majority and 69.
Is that more than 5?
And 69 Democratic senators. And in 1965, they passed 70 major pieces of legislation. If you go to the Johnson Library, there are 70 pens lined up.
Right.
That's the Great Society. Joe Biden has a majority of, nobody even knows. Is it 3? Is it 5? Is it 4 in the House? And a 50-50 Senate? Only a 50-50 Senate because of bizarre machinations by Trump in November and December that depressed the Republican vote. Democrats went nuts in the winter. They went crazy. They're proposing. They were at the point of having $8 trillion of new spending with no consensus. Forget the Democratic base. There was no mandate to do any of this from the American people writ large.
But they're locked in structurally, right? I mean, you can't do voting rights with a 50-vote threshold. You can't pass a guns bill with a 50-vote threshold. You can spend money with a 50-vote threshold, and you have to say the price tag first. That's the way reconciliation works. And so they lock themselves into this messaging nightmare by saying, okay, we have to set the price tag and then tell you all the good stuff it's going to do. And that's not right. And then take it all out. That's not a way you build a coalition around anything, but it's what they were forced into do.
And they had a coalition for a bill. They have a huge spending bill, $1 trillion infrastructure bill. That's a big bill. Like, there was a time when, say, you were going to spend $1 trillion on a bill, it was like, what are you, crazy? Well, Obama didn't even spend $1 trillion on the stimulus package in 2009.
I'm not sure $1 trillion spending package would satisfy the people who spent the pandemic marching in the streets for real social justice reform. So I don't think that would solve all their problems either.
Now that we've heard from that panel, we want to hear from you in the comment section today how you feel or what you think about what the Democrats have done or have not done for you in 2021 and what you might be expecting from them in 2022. The Biden administration has the House, has the Senate, has the presidency. So what's going on that's holding them back from accomplishing the goals that we need for them to accomplish? Are the Democrats taking advantage of the window of opportunity that they have, or are they wasting it? We want to hear what you have to say about this. And speaking of you, let's talk about the cost of living adjustment, which is 5.9%. The average person, as we well know, according to the Social Security Administration, receives Social Security benefits on average about $794 a month. Now, that's the maximum. Now, some people are receiving a little bit lower, but on average, the average person receiving that, if you calculate that with a 5.9% increase, the average person will be receiving $846 per month from now on. That average is about an extra $550 a year. Now, remember, last year for 2021, with the 1.3 increase for the cost of living adjustment, the average person only received an $11 a month increase. So to receive a $46 to $47 a month increase starting in 2022 is a lot better than what an individual received in 2021. and the way that things are going into 2022, and economists are saying that the rate of inflation is not going to be slowing down, it looks like in 2022 going to 2023, you guys once again are going to receive a large cost of living adjustment. So that's a great thing to look forward to, even though that's toward the end of next year. So just like you, we're going to be following the trail when it comes to the rate of inflation and what the cost of living for that time period will be as well. But prior to that, inside of the infrastructure bill, the one thing that the Democrats are trying to work on is the Social Security Restoration Act. And what that is, it breaks down two major things. The first thing that they want to do is raise Social Security benefits on average from the $794 to $1,073 where the poverty line actually is. Most individuals that receive Social Security are receiving it lower than the poverty line. So they want to at least raise it to 100% to 125% above the poverty line. That would take most people to the point where they would be receiving $12,880 a year compared to what individuals are receiving right now. The second thing that they want to do with the Restoration Act, change the gross asset amount. Right now, the average person on Social Security, outside your house, your car, and other items, you can only have a gross income of $2,000. If you have more than that, well, you could be knocked off the program, which actually keeps a lot of people under the poverty line because you can't have a lot of assets. So what they're trying to do now with this new bill, they're trying to change it to where you'd be able to have at least $10,000 in gross assets. So those are the two major parts of the bill that they're working on. And there are other small segments about the bill that they're working on as well. But this is the Restoration Act for Social Security, or the Social Security Restoration Act of 2021. And if it passes, it will begin in 2022. You will see that increase. But the question still remains, if you're going to be receiving from now on $1,073 a month, will you still be receiving also on top of that the 5.9% increase? That will be an extra bonus. So we're going to keep you posted on the progress of this bill. Well, my name is Andre of Mostly Money, and I'm here to give you all facts. No fake, no phony, and no fluffed up information when it comes to what's going on in politics today. And if you're interested in getting this information on a daily basis, well, you've made it to the right channel. All you need to do for yourself is subscribe. Click that notification bell so you can get the latest and greatest information coming from Mostly Money. You know it's a new week, and I'm going to the comments section. I'll see you guys there, and if I don't get a chance to speak to you, you don't get a chance to speak to me, we are not going to fret about it, because I'll be speaking to you again. Mañana.